Okay. Started by you, yes. Apologies, like I said, it's all a little slow for us too with Teams. We got so used to using Zoom for so many years, even before the pandemic. So it's nice to see you all. I am Ann Ball, Program Director at Maine Development Foundation, and I'm here with you today for the 4-point approach training. Many of you know this content, but hopefully you'll learn one little nugget you can take away that will be something new or a way you hadn't thought about it. But we have lots of communities. Hi, Riley. And I do want to just give a wave shout out to Isabel Lee. She's in the center of my screen. I don't know where she is with you guys. Isabel is the brand new Main Street Director for the Augusta Downtown Alliance, and this is her first, I guess, official meeting joining, our family in this way. And Main Street Directors, give a wave because you are the peers. We got Riley from Brunswick and Angie in Saco, Amanda in Belfast, and then all sorts of wonderful affiliates and municipal programs as well are here, Isabel. But welcome, and we're so glad you're here. And let's see, now we're going to start sharing. So 2 things. The Maine Downtown Center does 2 trainings a year that are specifically for staff of our local downtown organizations, volunteers, board members. Both of these trainings that we give, one is in the fall and one is the spring, are really good opportunities for your boards to get immersed in what the heck they're doing. What are they doing working or volunteering their time at a Main Street organization? And today's, the fall training is always on the Main Street 4-point approach. It's a 40-year-old approach to downtown revitalization, and it's really diving into that. And then the spring training we do in partnership with the Maine Association of Nonprofits, and that's really meant to look at governance and legal responsibilities of either working for or volunteering for a nonprofit organization. And that applies to some of you. Some of you are committees within your municipality, but many of you are nonprofits. So I encourage you to have board members or yourselves attend that training in the in the spring. And we'll be getting out our program training schedule probably in December. We shall have all the dates so you can, get them on your calendar. So I'm going to share some slides, and I have some slides of some of your downtowns, and I might call on you because this is a friendly group and say, hey, I prepped EJ. I said, hey, EJ, would you be willing to talk about, a slide if I put it up about Old Town? Because I don't think you want to listen to me for 43 minutes, but I thought it'd be fun if I have some of you community members to share because there are lots of pictures from around Maine. So, okay. Now here's the tricky part with Teams. Bear with me. Okay, now I gotta go to supposedly, there we go, present in Teams. Sorry, people, you gotta watch me behind the scenes muddle through. Should be coming. Do you see one slide? All right, here we are. So I certainly need to acknowledge where our funding comes from. We are grateful from the Office of Community Development through the Community Development Block Grant Program, and we are always grateful to Maine Community Foundation and the Betterment Fund. And we are wrapping up or just wrapped up a grant from the EDA, Travel, Tourism, and Outdoor Recreation through the Maine Office of Tourism. And we have funding currently from the Paul Brune Historic Revitalization Grant Program at the National Park Service, which I'll talk about a little bit. So today, quick overview of MDF and the Maine Downtown Center and diving into that 4-point approach, which I just mentioned. And then our awards coming up in November, which I'll put a link in the chat. They're being held in Bath, and it's going to be really fun. So I hope you can make that. So Maine Development Foundation is over a 40-year-old organization that is, oh, let me let someone in. There we go. Says they don't have access to Teams features. Well, hopefully whoever just joined us is able to see and hear. So MDF was founded by the legislature over 40 years ago to do research outside of state government to help elected officials make good policy decisions. And MDF originally was founded doing that economic research and producing measures of growth, which comes out in a couple weeks. And every year, those economic indicators are tracked and compiled by the Maine Economic Growth Council and MDF. And we still do that work. And then we do lots of leadership training programs, Leadership Maine, the Institute for Civic Leadership. Some of my wonderful classmates, Luke and EJ, are here from our elephant class a couple years ago. And Policy Leaders Academy, where we take elected officials and put them on a bus and take them all over Maine. Many of them have visited your downtowns. Leadership Maine was in Down East Maine just last week. Denise, I don't know if they got up to Calais that you noticed, but they were all in Machias, and I don't know how far they went. But anyway, these programs get around and look at real issues and real opportunities and challenges, and it educates leaders, it educates the policy leaders from a policy standpoint. They're amazing programs. And then, of course, over under programs and partnerships is the Maine Downtown Center and some sector-specific work like See Maine and For Maine, which stands for the Forest Opportunity Roadmap. So all of those programs are at MDF. Speaking about the Downtown Center, this is kind of how it works. We have the National Trust for Historic Preservation founded the Main Street movement also about 40 years ago, interestingly enough. And they founded this National Main Street Center. And it was in response to the growth of malls. You know, malls were being built and pulling business and people out of their downtowns. And they were really, businesses were suffering, buildings were in disrepair. And the National Trust for Historic Preservation founded the National Main Street Center, now known as Main Street America. That is sort of the over 40-year-old mothership of all of this work that happens around the country. And then there are coordinating programs in almost every state. And the Maine Downtown Center at MDF serves as the state coordinator here in Maine. And then we have 32 local programs in Maine at the moment. So we have our member communities, as I said, that are Main Streets, affiliates, and municipal program. That's what all those dots are. The accredited Main Streets have full-time staff or full-time equivalent. The affiliates, some of them have staff, but most are all volunteer at this point. Some are nonprofits, some are housed in local government. And then we have our municipal program. I think we have 8 municipalities right now, and those are programs or organizations that are just dipping their toe in downtown revitalization. They want to know what it takes to run a downtown program and what do they need. So we have that municipal level as an entree into the program. And then the other thing we do is we serve as a statewide resource. So I get phone calls from communities all over the state that maybe have one particular issue, or maybe they are interested in coming into the program. But we are, as our mission says, really a statewide resource for downtown revitalization. And these are the programs all over the country, over 1,200. And there's a lot of cachet to being part of the Main Street family, because when you travel and visit and you see a sign that says Main Street, you know, oh, wow, that's a community that has a focused downtown revitalization effort. They are, have a broad appeal with things to see and do in their downtowns. They often have a lot of local businesses. So it's really cool to be part of that family, which you all are. This is our mission. I think the big thing I pull out of this little photo of Augusta, the sturgeon. which have been taken down, but it was a great project. And Brunswick's painted chairs, Riley, is really the part about at the core of our approach to revitalization is a commitment to be creating places of shared prosperity, equal access to opportunity, and inclusive engagement. That's always a line that sticks with me. Your work, we measure it, right? The main streets, they have to track how many new businesses open and how many employees are there, full-time and part-time, how many buildings have had improvements, and roughly how much was spent on those improvements, and what kind of downtown infrastructure projects have happened, and how much did those cost. And that $1 to $23 return on investment is huge, and that is from the main streets in our state. Our affiliates have smaller data points to collect. We ask them to collect the number of volunteer hours. That is an amazing metric to share with your elected officials. I can't say, it's really powerful. And you keep track of how many meetings you go to or your volunteers attend. You just have a clipboard at the meeting and have people sign in. And it's a great data point to share with funders and elected officials. And our affiliates also track touching the 4 points, which we'll go into today. It doesn't mean you have 4 standing committees, but you touch them. Like, what do? Do you think about good design in your downtown? Do you sometimes attend a planning board meeting if there's a new project coming in? Because that means you're paying attention to design. So that's what our affiliates member, but data is really important in this work. We want to tell stories, but we also want to track data, and that's how you really build the movement, if you will. We have 2 what are called GAMSA winners in Maine that we're very proud of. In 2012, Bath was named a Great American Main Street from the National Main Street Center. And in 2022, Biddeford received the same honor. And it is a really big deal. It often takes organizations applying 4 or 5 times to get this award. It's highly competitive and highly honored, and it just really means that they are doing Main Street work well. And we are the only New England state with 2 GAMSA winners at this time, and hopefully someday we will have a 3rd one. If you're interested in that, don't hesitate to reach out. We can talk about what it takes. I know we have some Main Streets who are thinking about applying. So, Main Street, again, I said we measure quantitatively and qualitatively, but it's also grounded, this work, in what the community's vision is, right? You're not going to do things that your community is not in favor of or behind. And it also is balancing what the market will bear. You can't do stuff without it being grounded in that as well. So what are the 4 points? Economic vitality, design, organization, and promotion. And some people think 1 point is easier than another, but we're going to dive into what each of these are and get started. So as I didn't mention this, but I will mention, this work is collaborative work, relationship work. All of you involved see that every day, whether you are a Main Street director who walks the street and knows all the business owners, whether you are a board member who is partnering with, another organization in town to do the work. It really is a critical piece of the work. And as I said, we measure. It's based in the community vision and the market understanding. And then we have this thing called transformation strategies. And we're not even going to talk about that too much, other than to say transformation strategies are like a theme, a benchmark for your work. I'm going to call out Riley and Brunswick for one moment because it's a new transformation strategy, and feel free to flag me, Riley, if I'm not phrasing it right. Brunswick has realized that they have an opportunity and a need to focus on winter in Brunswick. They need to attract more people downtown. They need to support their businesses downtown. They need to bring families downtown in the winter. So their transformation strategy is going to look at the 4 points and think about what design matters in, the winter. Well, you know, being safely able to get across the street, making sure the sidewalks are plowed, and then maybe some fun things too, like snowmen or ice skating, design elements, right? Organization. They need to think about, you know, having people on their boards and their committees that know a lot about off-season, you know, business engagement and thinking of winter, and what they can do to have people who are focused on that. Promotion is bringing events downtown, thinking of winter events, and economic vitality is what are those businesses that have winter opportunities that maybe have something extra special they can do in the winter that they wouldn't do in the summer? Is it a certain type of food? Is it fire pits? I mean, if you're in a rural area like Van Buren, it could be taking people out on a dog sled or snowmobiling. So anyway, that's a transformation strategy. It cuts across all 4 points, and it's something that Brunswick is going to measure. Okay.
Yeah, and is it okay if
Go
I
ahead.
chime in really second, Ann?
Please.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, kind of talking about what we're planning for this winter. But one thing I would want to add, I don't know across like the organizations that are on the call, whether you have a transformation strategy or not. We were supposed to have one, but we didn't have one in place when I took this position in January. It was definitely something that my board was a little skeptical of. Because I think when you hear the word transformation strategy, that sounds scary. Like, are we changing our mission? Are we changing all of the work that we're doing? And it felt daunting. But I think as Anne framed it, you know, it's really an opportunity to build an initiative around what you're getting for feedback from the community. So it wasn't so much about, you know, transforming the work, more so, you know, where is our greatest opportunity as a Main Street program, and what can we do to meet the need of the community? And I think my board has come around to it, certainly, and it's not nearly as scary as it once was.
Totally appreciate you chiming in, Riley. I hope other people will chime in if I call you out. The other thing transformation strategies allow you to do is to say no. Riley could say, oh, somebody comes and says, Riley, I want to have, I don't even know, some festival, I don't know. We'll call it a dog festival. I don't know why I'm thinking of that. You're going to bring dogs downtown and have a big summer festival, and everything's going to become dog friendly in Brunswick. You have the ability to say, thank you so much for that excellent idea. We are focusing, you know, for the next 2 to 4 years on activating winter in Brunswick. And that is what we are working on. So transformation strategies give you a focus as well. So I always remind boards of the ability to say no when you do that. And although our affiliates are not required to have transformation strategies, it's kind of fascinating to think about, isn't it? Like I'm thinking of Luke and EJ, and I'm thinking of Winthrop. Like Winthrop, I always think of you seem to have such a wonderful amount of secondhand and thrift, and that narrative is really building in Winthrop. And so, you know, it's possible that that could be a transformation strategy. It's like, we are going to support this economic sector, and what are we going to do that? So it's definitely Main Street 2.0, right? It's not necessarily for those of you just starting out, but it's something to aspire to. So committees, right? We always say the old days of Main Street was like, you have to have 4 standing committees, one within each of the 4 points. And when I started at MDF, it was still pretty much that way. But I think we've come to recognize that it can be more flexible. Like I know in Skowhegan, they don't have a standing promotion committee. They have specific committees for specific events. People come in, they volunteer for anywhere from, you know, 1 week to help with an event to 4 months, and then they're done. Some people don't want to be on a committee year-round running events, but they really care about one event. So anyway, you don't have to have 4 standing committees, but you certainly have to touch the work. That's the high requirement of a fully accredited Main Street and the light version for our affiliates. Let's see. So we're going to talk about organization and sort of remind all of you what organization is and what that group is. In a nonprofit, it's often your executive committee. I can't remember, Jessica, in Westbrook, because you are the president of Discover Downtown Westbrook, I'm asking you, is your executive committee pretty much doing the work of the organization committee?
We just had our board retreat, and we do have a few other board members that recently joined. So
Great, great. So often in a nonprofit like Discover Downtown Westbrook, the executive committee and that sort of structure does the work. They're doing volunteer and leadership development, right? They're doing nominations for new board members. They're helping the organization develop their fundraising strategy, and they're thinking about large programmatic communication. They also manage staff if you have a paid director, and they really build this sort of strong, broad-based public and private support for the revitalization of your downtown district and your whole initiative. So it's a very important one of the points. And I think some people, like eye roll, like, oh, this is the boring one. They want the promotion committee, which gets to throw the parties. But nothing can happen without this group of people that are focused on sort of the health of the organization and the functioning of all these pieces and making sure there's enough money and people to do the work. Here's some examples. Let's see, the lower left is also a Westbrook photo, actually. Those are volunteer recognition. Like the organization committee recognizes and honors, years of service. And the organization committee holds retreats. As Jessica just said, they just held a board retreat, and that's like the lower right. Sort of some staff or volunteer team building is the upper right. And then in the upper left is Woodford's Corner doing downtown planting. And again, those volunteers may have come in through, the organization committee, recruiting volunteers and things like that. The other thing to think about is board participation. Main Street board members are all required, if you are an accredited Main Street, to attend at least one of the following: the National Main Street Conference or the Main Downtown Center Conference or annual awards, which, as I said, is in Bath. A Downtown Institute, we had one a couple weeks ago in Lisbon, and it was on fraternal religious buildings and granges, and really looking at how to reuse those downtown structures. And also, all new board members agree to attend board trainings and workshops that are provided through the Main Downtown Center, like the one we're on today. So board participation is something that's like one of your accreditation standards, and it's always important for your board members to know that and be aware of that when they agree to be a board member. The other thing I said that the organization committee does is fundraising, right? Tell the story, support with data like we talked about, and ask. And you have many people you can raise money from in downtown work. You've got your municipality who's often supporting the effort or should be at some level, the residents, the businesses, and then grants and foundation or corporate support from corporate foundations of some banks have their own foundations. So lots of possibilities, but a working board, right? Really engaged in a fundraising plan. Many of our programs have the opportunity to do annual appeals, and it's a great way to just say to the community, we are asking once a year for your support of our program. And, I feel like our organizations definitely have successful campaigns, those that are able to do it. And you can start small and just say, I'm going to budget for $500 or $1,000 to come into my organization through something like an annual appeal. There are lots of other fundraising things, and we will be having a fundraising specific training in 2026 with Main Street America. More to come on that, but it'll be a deep dive into how to do fundraising, how to write the fundraising plan, and the types of opportunities that exist for raising money. Volunteerism, right? This is a brand new piece that Discover Waterville has developed. They're one of our affiliates. And you'll get a copy of this slide deck so that you can read it, because I can't read it on my screen. It's so small. But it is an awesome recruiting piece for volunteers. It's like, this is our mission and the goals of our organization, and why do you want to join us in doing this work? It's a really great piece, and I highly recommend making your own version of this as you're thinking about recruiting more volunteers. So you got to recruit volunteers, and then you have to retain them and celebrate them, as I showed you that picture in Westbrook, and create a pipeline, because the pipeline can ultimately translate to being committee members or board members. You can have somebody who volunteers for an event, does a great job, has a great time, but maybe they want to do a little bit more or have a little bit more time. Well, maybe they'd like to serve on a committee, or maybe they would like to be on your board or your town committee if you're an affiliate. So like I said, you'll get copies of these things. All right, let's talk about economic vitality a little bit. Really repositioning the district's economy through market-driven strategies, right? You got to understand the market. You need to think about businesses retaining them, the ones that are already there, or if they want to expand, how can you help them with that? Business recruitment, and a little bit on property development. Augusta has done an amazing job with this, of filling their second, third, and fourth floors with housing before the downtown was even filled with, stores or restaurants. Typically, I've seen more cases of the first floors being filled first and then the housing coming later. But I always throw out that example of Augusta because it's absolutely fascinating. But there were some committed developers who felt like there was an opportunity for downtown housing. So it's work. Economic vitality is your committee working with your municipal staff, if you are a Main Street, and thinking about, is there an economic plan for your community or for your region, right? You can work with your regional economic development organization. Or is there a downtown plan, which may include economic strategies? So all sorts of ways to get at this work, but it's really looking at the gaps and figuring out how to attract those businesses to open up a storefront. And that's where some of those strategies of like food trucks and maker spaces and pop-ups for businesses, giving businesses the opportunity to try something out before they commit to bricks and mortar. Like, it's great if Main Streets can be in the space of sort of cultivating those opportunities. And we have great examples. And Luke, I can't remember if it was you, it might have been Nancy Ketch. I think it was a Holton example of a young student who started like a cookie company or something. I don't know if it rings a bell at all, Luke. Is it Nancy?
Yeah, I think that's our kolache shop, the lady that was doing kolaches at home.
Oh, okay. It's the kolache shop, not cookies. Well, there's a cookie example from Holton. Well, share the kolache story, because that's a great one. She's expanding.
So we inherited a completely redone restaurant building in the town of Van Buren after just a bad time of our history. And it all had brand new equipment in it, all cooking equipment, everything. It was a complete restaurant with a kitchen that had actually been licensed. And she was selling, her name is Danita, she was selling kolaches from home in Hamlin. And people were buying them left and right. The town office here was buying a dozen of them every week on Fridays. And so during one of our Christmas parades, during the big Christmas parade celebration, I asked her if she'd be interested in doing a pop-up shop in the restaurant building, which had all brand new tables, chairs. Nothing had ever been used. It was all brand new. Anyway, she went in and cooked 32 dozen kolaches, She opened at 6 p.m. At 6:25, she had to shut the door. She had sold 32 dozen kolaches. And then that following Monday, she was making a plan to use the space. So the town of Van Buren agreed to let her use the restaurant at no charge. Uh, all she had to do was cover her own utilities because she was planning to build or develop another building into her kolache shop. So she's been using it now for 18 months, I think, total. And she's building a brand new building on Main Street. But this, incubator helped get her
Right.
started and get her moved over to her new permanent space, which she should be in sometime February, March. So.
And I did not know until I met Luke what a kolache was. It's like a hand pie, right?
Yeah.
And I've had one. I was in Van Buren last December, and they're amazing, just in case anybody needs to know or wants to go to Van Buren.
There's people that have flown to the Caribou Airport, and she's delivered to their airplane. That's how
That's
popular
amazing.
they're becoming. So
That's amazing.
She's done okay.
Denise, I see that you raised your hand. Thank you, Luke.
I did. Quick question. I'm not seeing any of the slides. Are you forwarding
What?
slides? Yeah.
Is anybody else not seeing the slides? Okay.
I'm seeing them.
We see them.
Okay, Denise.
I'm stuck on
There
page
may
2.
be a button. There may be a button at the bottom of the screen that says sync to presenter. I have to keep clicking that to keep up with you.
Oh, thank
thank
you very
you.
much. Got
Okay.
it.
Wow. I wish I could control that on Teams. Thank you for helping us out there. A couple other economic vitality things. Main Street Bath partnered with the SBA to do great trainings, and they plan them ahead of time. And small businesses or people that want to start business sign up and come in and have a meeting with the SBA. Super popular and a great partnership between the SBA and Main Street Bath. And it's free advice and help for people starting out or people wanting to locate in Bath. And Bricks and Clicks, is anybody here from Ellsworth? I think there was somebody. No? Okay. Bricks and Clicks is a program that supports entrepreneurs in Ellsworth, and I was hoping someone might be able to share more information about it than I have. This is a picture in Monson of a bread baker out of her home with her half door. It's pretty amazing. You can walk to it from the downtown. And then on the high end up top there is the plans for Skowhegan's shared commercial kitchen that they are fundraising for, where entrepreneurs are going to be able to come and start incubating their food related businesses. Before they're ready to go to market. They can be testing, they can be getting approvals and permits, and they can also have, tasting events. Some people might have heard of the Fork Food Lab in Portland. It's similar to that. And then EJ, there's the little pop-ups. EJ, you want to talk a little bit about why Old Town invested in the sheds?
Sure. I'll have to get you a new picture because that's really, really old.
I know it is. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, they look
Yeah.
better than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we decided during the pandemic to add these 3 sheds to a vacant lot that the city owns in the heart of downtown. We worked with our local tech center. The students there built the sheds at no cost, just the cost of materials. And this has been kind of a business incubator for folks in our downtown. The middle shop has been a flower shop pretty much for the last couple of years. They like being there. They like the seasonal, temporary nature. They expanded to the shop next door, so they have a couple of shops where they sell a bunch of things. And then the one on the right is now a kind of secondhand resale store, Two Chicks resale. But we've had a number of businesses who start here and then have moved into more permanent spaces on Main Street. So this is kind of your fail fast, fail cheap type of model. They get in there, they participate with us during events, during parades and movie nights in the park. All the shops are open doing stuff. They have food trucks come and park on the lawn in front of these. So it's been a great way to get people into the community, into the business front of Main Street. Very relatively inexpensive. And then they grow, or they kind of are happy with where they're at. So it's been a
That's great.
great addition.
Thank you. And I'm sorry about the photo. I look forward to an improved photo.
I'll get you doing.
Thanks. Promotion. This is the one that's kind of, some people say, is the easiest of the 4-point. It's really attracting people to the district through marketing and the image of your downtown. And so it's special events and festivals and sort of a marketing strategy, bringing businesses together to coordinate when they're open late. EJ just mentioned they have their movies and that the businesses stay open late when the movies are in the park. Like that kind of coordination kind of all happens under the promotion point, if you will. Some examples, the lower left is Skowhegan's Brew Fest, and then the upper right is a music event that happens in Bath, I think weekly. I know many of you have music in the park kind of events. And Holton, a major, I think it's 4th of July, but I'm not sure. I mean, it might not be. I don't remember. I'm going to call it Luke says, yes, it's 4th of July. Thank you. Thank you, Aroostook County. Downtown farmers markets. Many of you have farmers markets. This one is in Woodford's Corner, and the downtown organization is very involved in the market. They actually get the volunteers to help set up the market and to get, have information booths from people in the community, make sure the vendors are set. Not every downtown organization is that involved, but certainly it's an asset in your downtown if it is happening. Belfast, I think, has 2 markets in their downtown. You can keep it simple, a chalk party. It doesn't cost much. Simple ideas are always great to think about. Jane's Walk, which is the first Saturday in May. It is a festival celebrating Jane Jacobs, an international urbanist who really, this is her legacy. Jane's Walks happen all over the world. And in Maine, we've been trying to encourage our downtowns. It's walking tours about the place. It's not necessarily a historic walking tour, but it's a great event. And we do all the coordination. The Downtown Center, Maine Preservation, Portland Downtown, Friends of Congress Square Park, and Greater Portland Landmarks are like the leads. And we coordinate this statewide effort. So that is promotion, and you guys all do a great job at that. The next and final point is design, which is the physical appearance, and it includes historic preservation, and it's clean storefronts, it's clean windows, it's good signage, safe places to cross the street, and it can include, true historic preservation and certified local governments or local design and preservation districts. So much happens in the design world. And I think I have some pictures. Let's see, both the top right are from Westbrook, activating a park with, hula hoops and bringing activity and placemaking to that space, decorating, obviously harvest time. And then over on the left is Hollowell. And they took an abandoned dirt park and they said, we're going to see what it would be like to have a real park here with like green space. It's fake green, right? But they put down chairs and they studied like how many people sit down on Water Street and watch people go by. And they really tried to understand like what is needed in the downtown. What would the municipality support? Because the municipality happens to own this empty lot. It did not result in a park, but the process was very good. And we hope sometimes these type of efforts, these demonstration projects do bring about change. Ellsworth Public Art, they took the abandoned wall on the left, and I love the fake sticky note that they put up to do mural. And then they had a really notable mural artist paint the mural, and it's just off of downtown, and great way to, again, make something happen in a space that really had nothing else happening in it. It was just a parking area. Some simple design things. We've got the bike rack up in Norway. It's not just a bike rack, right? It's actually the logo of Norway downtown in that bike stand. This bridge in Westbrook, it's beautiful materials, right? It's a wood decking, and it's a very attractive way to get people from the downtown across the river, whether they're working over here, I think it's Anthem or Maine Health, or going to the mill. And then Gardner had this really inexpensive idea. Those are fishing poles and wooden fish painted by students. And they have an event in Gardner called Run of the Cobbessy. And it's like when all the fish are running from the Kennebec to the Cobbessy, right? And the Cobbessy stream. And they put out the fish all up and down Main Street. Super inexpensive idea. It's just buckets from the hardware store filled with dirt and rocks, and then fishing poles. So simple things bring your place alive. And then this, I will put the link in the chat for you, because if I can make it work, we'll see. I might not. This is recordings. Each one is about 7 minutes on each of the 4 points. And I highly encourage, I know Amanda did this in Belfast. She shared them at the beginning of board meetings, just so the board members really started to get a good understanding of what the 4 points. These are available on Main Street America's website, and they are for free, or they're on their YouTube channel. And like I said, each one is like 7 minutes, or just have your committee review it, sometime before their meeting. It just grounds you in what their work is. I am definitely having trouble getting the link, but I will send it afterwards. Okay, so how about we pause for 1 second before we wrap up with some other slides, just to see if anybody has questions or comments. And it's no pressure, but I don't want to, I've given a lot of information. I'd love to see if anybody has anything else to share. And I didn't say hello, Emma and Michael, because you came in when I was talking, but thanks for coming. Okay. All right, we're keeping going. That's the plan here. Denise.
So I just wanted to share one thing.
Yeah.
Last year, we kind of started the initiative to dress up and decorate empty buildings, the windows.
Right.
And I only got 1 or 2 building owners approved, to do it.
Yeah.
But the one building had sold to a new owner who's renovating the inside, and he took it upon himself to recreate and do his own windows for permanent until he's ready to open.
Okay.
So I don't know if that fits in. I just excited that, a building owner in this process of trying to revitalize and
absolutely
all of that took the idea and ran with it, because it was his windows that we were continuously like changing out. So
yeah, I mean, that's wonderful that he did that and maybe created something that will last a little bit longer. It certainly helps that you don't have to lead the effort or find volunteers to get in there and change it. If you guys are pleased with what he's done, I would totally celebrate it and encourage the community to go look at it. I think that's wonderful.
Yep. So I just thought I'd share that.
That's good. I love little stories like that. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I want to talk about historic preservation, because this whole program you all are working on is grounded in historic preservation, right? It's part of the approach. And it's everything you do is, partially connected to taking care of, being stewards of, celebrating and sharing these amazing places in your downtowns, theaters, libraries. In the picture, we've got Johnson Hall, the Opera House up in the upper left, and a historic photo with all that Carrara glass that they were able to restore. That picture's old in the upper left, but it's not that old. I mean, they literally, they've opened and they are having performances. Museum in the Streets, let's see, Augusta has it, Biddeford has it, and maybe some other communities have it. It's a fabulous program that comes out seasonally and is stands that show the history. It's like, oh, you're looking at the whatever restaurant before this time. This was, you know, a spinning mill, or this was where the local grocery store was. And it tells the stories with old photographs. And there are these plaques. And I guess Augusta brings them in and out because they don't keep them up during the winter. I think Ellsworth might have museum in the streets too. City halls, like the city hall right there in the upper right in Biddeford, and then the library. You all have amazing libraries in your downtowns, architecturally some amazing things. And so we constantly are talking about preservation driving economic development. And these, I will send links to both of these publications. They're really good and they're available online for no charge. And they list all the data and the return on investment. Sometimes it's helpful if you have someone who's on the fence about buying a historic building, or you just generally want to say these buildings are worth investing in because they really do drive economic development. They drive people to come see them. And I will get you the links, as I said, when we're done here. Many of you have districts, historic districts. So Dover Foxcroft has a downtown historic district. Augusta has a local historic district. Brunswick has a National Register commercial district. Most of the protection actually comes at the local level. So like Augusta has design review. I know Gardner does. I think there are 11 communities in Maine that have certified local governments. And it means you have to go through design review if you want to make changes to your building. That's where the protection comes. People think the protection comes with National Register. It seems like that would be the case, but it isn't. It's local that drives the protection. But those National Register districts bring other benefits, right? You can use, or a developer could use, historic tax credits in a National Register district to revitalize a building. And those projects are amazing. I can name them in most of your communities examples. There's a housing project happening in an old church in Saco right now. Brunswick did the Lamont Hall, was a tax credit project with a beautiful sort of theater, sort of dance hall upstairs, and it's now housing as well as commercial space on the first floor. So these districts are very valuable to not only preservation, but to driving economic development. And Luke's heard me all the time. I'm like, let's get the theater in Van Buren on the National Register, or eligible, like determine its eligibility so that they could use third-party tax credits, because it's a nonprofit organization, to help with economic development and getting that project done. So Johnson Hall worked with a third party to actually use historic tax credits to get Johnson Hall done. Yeah, so there's a lot there. I won't stay too long on that. Here's the spinning mill in Skowhegan, big tax credit project. I went in the building when it was in the lower left. There were holes in the ceiling and birds and things that shouldn't have been living in there. And then over on the right is just before the final sort of work of opening that building. Luke got to spend one of the first nights in the hotel before it was really open to the public. And Denise was there too, right? You all had a cohort meeting with Grow Smart Maine there. And it really is beautiful. And it's so exciting to see this project be done. And it was largely as a result of the property getting listed on the National Register and then being able to make the numbers work. We talked about data and what is measured, so I don't think I need to go over that again, but it really does speak to the impact of your work. And I want to show a few examples of how we show data, right? I said you can use it in grant applications, you can use it to tell a business, you know, why, you know, being in your community is so valuable because we get this many volunteer hours a year. So this is Westbrook. So we started this 2 years ago. Each Main Street gets 2 versions of their data like this. It's in Canva, and we collect the data, give it back to them, and they can fill it in. And they're amazing. To hand your town council to say, we really hope that you will support us this year or increase your donation to our work this year. This is really a great visual for impact. And then this one's from Belfast. And same thing, you know, it shows 119 volunteers in 1 year brought in 1,709 volunteer hours in downtown Belfast. So good job, Amanda. That's a lot of volunteer hours. And so we are helping collect the data and give these to our main streets. And there's no reason why our affiliates could not do something different, or we can spit back your data, you know, so you can see it and put it in the context of your peers. So that is a little bit on the value and the impact of the work you're doing. I just wanted you to see that. A couple last slides on what's coming up for us. The big thing is in 2026, we just received a grant to do 3 deep trainings on financial management, fiscal management, you know, budgeting, P&Ls, like all the stuff. How do you get a treasurer? How do you find a treasurer for your board? All those things, fiscal management. Let's see, the second topic is on, oh my gosh, I've just been going over something with one of our main streets and my brain is, HR, human resources. Many of you have the responsibility of staff, full-time, part-time, and many of you don't have HR handbooks. And yet I see every week examples of, you know, Main Street's not doing reviews with their directors or how to run a good search for a new director. Augusta does an amazing job, Isabel. So they had a very good process in hiring you. So HR, and then the third training is going to be on fundraising, right? Not only what are all the mechanisms from annual appeal to sponsorship, but like, how do you actually do it? So these trainings are something we're doing in 2026, and they're going to be much different than our traditional training. They're going to be deeper. We're hiring outside experts, all with this grant, and you will have like required deliverables and homework, but it's info coming and it's exciting and should be really good for our whole network. National Park Service, we are in the middle of our third cycle. We were funded in 2024, and we have made decisions on who is going to be getting the grants and sent them to the National Park Service 4 days before the government shut down, and we have not heard back. I'm sure they will approve them, but the whole process is in hold right now. So if you have somebody that applied from your community for one of these grants, I have communicated with all of our applicants and said on hold because of government shutdown. But then while we were doing that, I mean, not while the government was shut down, but before the government was shut down, we heard we got another round of this preservation funding. So big news, we will be running a competitive grant program for buildings in our downtowns for affiliates and main streets with historic buildings that are nonprofit owned, government owned, privately owned. It's one of the rare programs that allows private funding to apply. The buildings have to be listed on the National Register, not contributing. So that's more information coming on that, and feel free to reach out to me. These are some of our previous grantees all over the state, you know, from Machias and Rumford. And that is my last slide. So I just want to thank you all for what you do. The work you do and the quality of place is so important to Maine and to your communities. So I am going to I'm going to flip through these, turn it off, and see if anybody has any questions in our last couple of minutes. Let's see, how does one turn off Teams? Stop sharing, there we go. Stop presenting, it worked. Thanks for bearing with me, new on Teams. So, any questions, things that you felt that I didn't cover that you would have liked me to cover? Feel free to take yourself off mute. Kristen's a former Main Street director, so I said she could probably do this in her sleep. I don't know. You said you needed updating. I don't know. It hasn't much changed except for transformation strategies.
You know, honestly, everything is when you were saying it, I was like, I remember that too. So it's
Yeah. Great. Emma and Michael, what communities are you from?
I'm part of downtown Old Town.
Oh, great.
I'm in Damerscott and Newcastle.
Oh,
I'm the
great.
town planner for the two of them.
Yes, I saw that you had registered and I just didn't remember. Thank you. Damerscott used to be a downtown affiliate. It was called the Network Program many years ago. Thanks, Riley, for
Interesting.
coming. Yeah.
That must have been before my time.
Yeah,
So,
I'm happy to pull a slide as our files. They're in our storage unit because they were paper files at that point. But I'm happy to pull it if you need background information. If you think, you know, that this program might be something, we would certainly love to talk to Damerscott and Newcastle. You have an amazing, wonderful, historic two downtowns. I think it was called like two villages, one downtown.
Twin Villages.
Twin Villages, yeah.
I'm just looking to learn more about it. I didn't
Great.
even know that Damerscott was part of it. So
yeah,
any information you can share would be much appreciated.
Thanks, Rachel, for coming. Yeah, I will put my email in the chat. There, I gotta find the chat. And please email me and we will get to our storage unit. I have to go pull something for Presque Isle at the moment. We would love to pull that for you and of course, answer any questions, things that I might have missed in the beginning. Any other questions or thoughts before you guys have to flee? Okay. Well, I'm gonna stop the recording and I see that Brooke is typing. I'll let her see whether she wants me to answer a question. But I will certainly stay on for a few minutes if people have other questions. And I really appreciate all of your time. And Winthrop's typing now. Great. Thanks everybody for coming. Bye.
So Anne, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess kind of guidance here. So
Let me just try to turn off the recording. I really would like to do that. Right? How does one do that? There we go. There we go. Stop recording. Okay.